We're in the process of renovating our home that we've just purchased, and we need to remove these carpets, and we're going to extend out the kitchen to make it larger and make more sense of the space. This is the old kitchen, and there's some water damage, and so I'm checking the sink there and then removing all the cabinets. I have to remove the flooring, and then when I get in there, there's actually some subfloor that I have to remove as well. There's the subfloor that I needed to pull out that was water damaged. If you've been following me and a process, I touched on this in another video where part of our ceiling is got concrete, and so I had to cut this out to be able to ventilate above the stove. Now I can be able to start on the flooring where the cabinets can't go on this type of flooring. It's the luxury vinyl plank, and so the stove, refrigerator, and dishwasher can go on it, but since cabinets have to be fastened, if you've ever done a remodel, you know that there's always something. And in this case, I needed to extend it out and build out that half wall so I could be able to run the plumbing behind the cabinets. Speaking of the cabinets, I bought these from a previous kitchen and had to gut them all out and refinish them and install them, so you'll see some of that process later on as well. They're all at different stages of that process, but they have to be sanded down and then painted. I needed to pull the stove out again and put this underlayment under the flooring that I didn't do beforehand, and all of this is the DMX One Step 2.0, and it actually has dimples on it, and I've talked about this in a previous video. Fantastic product for LVP, allows airflow underneath, and you just connect the edges and tape the seams. And you get what I'm doing here and putting the flooring, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit as we get out of this area into the expanded part of the kitchen. Pretty sure we all have vents where we don't want them. This is a great solution for that, where you can actually cut out in the toe kick and have the vent still be placed in the kitchen but have it hidden, and so it's not in a space where everybody's walking. Speeding through some more of this flooring, and I was leveling that cabinet and getting rid of the old refrigerator. This flooring, we were trying to see if we could get into the crawl space, but it's just too small, so I'm going to close it off. This is the last of the underlayment for this area, and I'll be doing more flooring down in that great room. The most important part and the longest part potentially for laying down LVP is the first row, where you have to get lined up correctly, cut the right angles, and then everything after that begins to flow pretty quickly, as you'll see here. I've jumped ahead in time here. As you can see, I already have the LVP installed, and if you're interested, you can see that video on my channel. Now, this is what I had mentioned earlier about having to sand, and there's a lot of prep in getting these cabinets ready for paint. It felt like I was sanding for days, and so there's some cabinets that are painted, and so I would paint some here and there to give me a break from sanding all day. If you've watched any of my content before, you know that I pray and I process a lot while I'm working on these projects by myself, and I was thinking and processing in this of how cool it is that Jesus was a carpenter and how I could be able to relate to that in this sense as I'm working on this project. So cutting the back side of that, I had scribed so that it would fit here with minimal gap. so that I can fill that with caulk. And I am pleased with how tight that fitting is. I still have to do the final cut on this, but let's see how it fits. Got the final cuts for the butcher block done here, so I was able to install that and the faucet, and then it's on to lots of painting. Just like it was a lot of sanding, now all the surfaces that were sanded, now I need to paint them. It's easier to paint the faces of the cabinets when they're installed because you have them screwed in together. And then once the paint dried, I was able to come back and install the hardware here. We went with a gold, and we just bought it off of Amazon. One thing that was a pleasant surprise that I wasn't planning on when starting the project is that half wall that we built out behind the cabinets. It created a perfect space for us to be able to add the electrical outlets, and it's been awesome to be able to use those for the, counter appliances and charging devices, and just having that extra electricity is fantastic. And this is the best part of finishing remodeling projects, is seeing your vision come to life. To make this video not super long, I didn't include all the things like some of the upper cabinets, and then we did some floating shelves on this wall. So be on the lookout for those videos in the future. And this is now our new access to our utility closet. This is a reminder of before, and here's the after. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. And as always, God loves you, I love you, God bless, and be still, my friends. Want to grow deeper in your faith and love photography and remodeling videos, please like, comment, share, and follow for more.